So the tariffs against Canada and Mexico have been delayed by a month. Some people say Trump won and got Mexico and Canada to concede, while others say Trump folded. In this video, I'm just going to go over the facts and my opinion at the end, and I even put my script through ChatGPT and asked it to give me a bias score if you were curious. Oh, and also, I think it's important to note that this only affects Canada and Mexico. The plan to tariff China by an extra 10% has not changed. So on February 3rd, a day before the tariffs are going to be put into place, the president of Mexico and Trump reached a mutual agreement. Mexico will send 10,000 troops from the National Guard to their border purely to stop drug trafficking into America. In return, the US will do two things. First, they will work to stop high-powered weapons crossing into Mexico, and second, America will delay the tariffs by 1 month. I assume the first part is because the cartel will get these weapons, which will then make it harder to enforce the law in Mexico. So it's like, you stop bringing drugs into our country, we'll stop the weapons being brought into yours. And next, not a cancellation of the tariffs, but a 1 month delay. I think that's important to note. Canada has something similar, and after calling with Trump twice, Trudeau announced a $1.3 billion border plan with choppers, 10,000 staff members, and a Fent czar, which is a word I never thought I'd say. They're also listing cartels as terrorists, which means they're following the American standard set by Trump. It is important to note, though, that Canada already announced they were going to do this way before Trump was actually even in office. So this was basically a re-announcement with the addition of a few things, like extra personnel and the Fent czar. Some people are saying that this was for nothing and just damaged US-Canada relations, while others say that now there's accountability, because instead of a plan or announcement, it's an actual commitment that millions of people have now heard you promise to do, and has actual consequences if you don't, since, the tariffs are only delayed by a month. And why was it delayed by a month? Your guess is as good as mine, but to me the most obvious reason is if they don't go through with their plans, Trump's just going to put them back in. But I also think the delay means 30 more days of negotiation. I would be very surprised if nothing else is added on either side for the next month. So we'll see what the next few weeks will bring. On another note, Ecuador suddenly announced 27% tariffs on Mexico. I guess after Trump's tariffs on Mexico, he was like, yeah, screw Mexico. Oh, you delayed it by a month? To be fair, this announcement was afterwards, but still I found it pretty funny. Now I'll go over the impact of this tariff announcement and the delay. On February 2nd, for obvious reasons, the Canadian dollar and the Mexican pesos crashed a little bit, but has now recovered. Stocks also dropped from the tariff announcement, but have also started rising after the 1 month delay. There's also, of course, the strained relations now between the countries. In Canada, I imagine there's near unanimous political support to be less dependent on the US economically. Alright, so now I'm going to go over my opinion. In the last video, I said I think placing tariffs down would be a mistake, because you have no idea how long a tariff trade war could last when you compare it to an actual war like Russia and Ukraine, which has been going on for basically 3 years now, and how it's not the right time to do this considering how many people are living with almost no money. So the 1 month tariff delay is obviously great news for most people, and I think you can see that with the currencies and stocks stabilizing again. I also mentioned that maybe there was some 4D chess strat that I'm not seeing, and I would be happy to be proven wrong. So I guess it depends on if you see this as a Trump victory or an unnecessary threat for Canada and Mexico. And I have to admit, at the very least, I didn't expect him to change his mind. If I look at past presidents, I think Obama is a great example of someone I picture as presidential. Not in terms of policy, I'm talking purely about professionalism, personality, educational background, etc., stuff like that. If you compare that to Joe Biden or Trump, it's a very different style of politicking, right? So I admit, I thought Trump was 100% going to place the tariffs down, and I was wrong. But yeah, I think I'm really open to see how things will develop now. I'll still stand by the fact, though, that I don't think threatening tariffs was the best choice, considering now all the countries you trade with now know America will threaten tariffs if you don't comply. Even to their closest allies and partners like Canada, meaning those countries that trade with the US might start thinking it's a good time to diversify a little bit in terms of who they trade with. So I think it won't be a surprise to see some countries try to rely less on America with trade in the following few years. So I wouldn't really call this a win just in terms of the Canada side yet, but I mean, there's a month left where a lot can change, and I can be proven wrong again. So my assumption was that tariffs was because Mexico and Canada, 2 out of 3 of the biggest trading partners for the US, was apparently ripping them off. So removing these tariffs because they're going to help secure the border, I don't really see how that's connected. But again, there could be a big brain mega giga chad 5-head 6D chess move that my brain doesn't see yet. But until more of the story develops, I think that's about it in terms of my thoughts. And if you're listening to this, thank you so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you next time.